this room a couple of legislators who, who are really interested in this topic. Not every legislator is, but you've identified the people who are, including Assemblywoman Hayter, and I don't know who else might be in the room, but these are the people who are interested. So, you know, come to us with ideas and we will, you know, do our best to make them happen.
Thank you. Do you want to say something? Okay.
A little something to add. One of the gaps I see as I've gone around and spoken to people is small communities. If you're a large community with a large tax base, you can afford a $150 million system. We don't like it, but we can afford it. If you're a small community, you're less, I think, 3,000 connections. That's a real gap. It's a real gap in funding. And so what some of those communities have to do is they have to put in a point of use or point of entry certified device. So if you as a private consumer wanted to go buy a device for the removal of PFAS, you would go to look for an ANSI NSF certified device. I happen to be on the committee that helps write the standards. And right now the standards on the influent PFAS to test this device, they come from the UCMR, the unregulated contaminant map data. PFAS are unregulated contaminants. And so they look to this UCMR, and the current test on a filter or a filtration system is over 2,000 PPT of PFAS in that. It makes it almost impossible to build a system economically that will pass the standard for people to use. And in part of doing that, listen, for my social activism, I wanted to develop a simple and inexpensive system that anybody, we're in Camden, anybody could afford to use. Something under $100 can put in your house. So we made an ANSI NSF certified point of use device for the removal of PFAS. It's certified. But it's, you know, getting it out there and recognizing that there's no crossover between government legislators and the people that are writing these standards. And we could use a little bit more close collaboration for what is safe and effective, cost effective for the American citizens.
That's great. Let's take one or two questions.
Yep. I'm going to consolidate a few here, save us a minute or two. So we've got a great panel here from a diverse background. So here we are in New Jersey. 4 years ago, we banned plastic bags, right? Is there something similar we can ban that would have an impact on PFAS contamination? And to go with that, are there habits we want to encourage citizens or communities to sort of help the overall picture?
Paul, maybe you want to take a shot at it?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's pretty clear. There are certain things that we can ban. We can ban the 15,000 PFAS substances that are in my jacket, this microphone, the iPhone, everything we've got. It is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. This is a problem that starts with regulation. You know, when I was with that environmental company years ago, we had a recycling division, and we upheld the standards that the DEP imposed upon us, that the legislature imposed upon us. But I used to say, yeah, the DEP doesn't regulate or doesn't recycle a single aluminum can. Industry does it. This is a daisy chain. It starts with the state and federal legislature. And as Linda pointed out, every legislator isn't Linda Greenstein, Lisa Swain, Shama Hadar. They're not interested. It costs too much. We're drinking this water. So we need it to start with the legislature. Then we need the Katie Angerons from the DEP to regulate it and set the standard for industry. Then we need the Larry Gottliebs who say, well, I'm going to have to spend another couple of $1 million to take this out of my manufacturing process. Then we need the Veolias, we need Jim, we need Rich Calby to put together filtration processes. And then we need all the citizens to say, if you don't straighten this out, we're going to get new people to do this. So there's an apathy problem. There's a public relations problem. They don't know, we didn't know what's killing us. We need to all hold hands together to get this done. And if we don't, if this daisy chain breaks down in any one of those places, it will never get done.
Could I
Okay.
have a real quick one?
Yeah.
Totally agree with what the mayor said. I just want to add real quick two things. One piece of low-hanging fruit that's an opportunity that wasn't mentioned is stormwater control. Stormwater control on contaminated sites. That is a relatively lighter lift that municipalities can do if you have an industrial site, an abandoned site. Controlling stormwater not only will deal with PFAS, but also PCBs and other contaminants, preventing them from getting into our system, controlling it on site. And in New Jersey's 21 combined sewer communities, that can also reduce the potential for combined sewage backups into people's homes, sewage overflows into our rivers. So there's a virtuous cycle in stormwater control. Last thing, I just want to really reiterate that not everyone has, not only we don't have legislators like the ones here today, but also we don't have mayors like the one on our panel. We need to make sure that, like Larry said, every community, not just the most resourced ones, there has to be a commitment statewide and nationwide, like the Assemblywoman said, to make sure that every household is protected.
Thank you. You summed it very well. Larry, you have the last word.
Jim.
I'm sorry, Jim.
Well, what I could do is I can summarize that PFAS is way too large, way too complex for any sector to solve it alone. Right? Utilities bring the experience and know-how to put treatment systems in place and to finance them. We have the regulators that are here to enforce the regulation, and we have university and innovators that are building solutions that we can put in place soon. And we need that innovation. And only with all of us working together will we solve those problems.
You summed it well. Thank you so much. And please join me in thanking one more time this extraordinary, exceptional, visionary leaders panel. Thank you. It's my great pleasure to introduce a great friend and leader, Stuart Abraham, Director of Remediation Technology, Langen Engineering, and Environmental Services, to introduce the next two keynote speakers. Yours. Yeah, thank you.
Testing, okay. I'm Stu Abrams of Langen Engineering. I direct our remediation technology program. Our next two speakers, I think, are going to give us some tangible consequences, ideas about what the implications of PFAS are. And in particular, my reflection is, PFAS wasn't created by evil people. It had a purpose. And here we are dealing with unintended consequences of the 21st century. And to some extent, I've had a long career. It feels like we keep doing this over and over again. It was chlorinated solvents in the 1980s and 90s, and then it was PCBs, and then it was other contaminants. And we keep doing this over. And I think these two folks, you've heard a little bit about Rich already, give us a more tangible insight into what the unintended consequences of the modern age really are. So our first speaker, I didn't realize the whole biography is in the back, so we're not going to go through that. But I think we have two very interesting talks about unintended consequences. Amy Goldsmith is an environmental advocate, and I think we're going to hear a lot about from her perspective of the unintended consequences, the conundrum, as Rich says, of what we've created. And then we're going to hear from Rich some of the details of what really went into this $150 million capital expenditure up at Ridgewood. One last thought I'll add from my personal experience. I'm a member of a group called the PFAS Environmental Professionals. We meet once a year. One of our folks is a leader, is the editor-in-chief of the Environmental Business Journal. Once a year, they do an estimate of the cost to America of PFAS. We are now up to, educated guess, $400 billion, and it keeps going up. And sometimes when we're having drinks or dinner, we're really guessing $1 trillion. That's a pretty big unintended consequence. So, Amy. Oh, okay, Rich is going to go first? Okay. Oh, yeah, slides. These folks have slides. I don't know, okay. Amy's up first. It's like, yeah, your slides are up first.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I am part of, I co-chair a task force that's working on this, and it's a pleasure to work with utility people and others. So we're talking about the challenges and as has been said, the conundrum. So we can go to the next slide if that's, or should I be doing it? There you go. Okay. So you've heard a lot already about the challenges of treating and capturing and all that. You've heard all about the drinking water and the landfills and the sewage, and you're going to hear more and more about that. You've heard all about the cumulative impacts and the many forms of PFAS. But why do we have to pay for it? Why do the utilities have to pay for it, the ratepayers, the people? Why aren't the polluters paying for it? I do. Okay, where? Is this it? And where do I put? Okay. All right, thanks. All right, thank you. And so one of the things that we do as Clean Water Action is we put our energy into getting towards solutions, working with people like legislators, working with utility people and others to bring voice and changes that we need. And you've heard a lot already about we should just stop making this stuff, right? We can't undo the past, but we can change the future, and we have to turn off the tap, as again, you've heard over and over and over again. A lot of you are engineers, but we can't actually engineer our way completely out of this, right? We need to deal with what we've got. And what we can use are consumer voices to make the changes. And I would argue, actually, that people are becoming more and more aware and are feeling the health impacts and consequences of PFAS. We also have heard that the governor has made this one of her top 3 environmental issues. So now is the time for us to act and to make sure that the legislature and the DEP do what they need to do, and we hold the people that are accountable. So let's see, can I go back? No, I want to go forward. Okay, so one of the things you've heard about is legislation here in New Jersey. Just to let you know again, there are some bills that were already signed into law most recently around foam, firefighting gear, personal care, and textiles. These are things that Senator Greenstein was just speaking about. There are a number of bills right now that are up in the legislature on apparel. The Senate has already voted, and you see here, there are only 40 senators in the State House. 38 of them voted to ban PFAS from apparel. This is the same as what happened with firefighting gear, firefighting foam. I have talked to firefighters. They thank you, because they are in such danger being exposed to PFAS on an ongoing basis. Artificial turf, we haven't really talked about that. Artificial turf is really intense. It's 400,000 pounds of artificial turf has to be disposed of every 8 to 10 years, and it's full of PFAS. I have some flyers on my table if you want to take one or take a picture of it. Menstrual products has already been spoken about. Packaging, there's PFAS in packaging. There's another bill on that, and there's also a bill on hair products. These are all bills that we as an organization are working on. In New Jersey, there are 11 bills that have been introduced on PFAS. Some of them have to do with drinking water monitoring, but there's it's not going over, going back. Okay. One thing to think about is that retailers and brands are beginning to phase out PFAS from their products. I had a friend gave me this beautiful London fog coat, and it was like incredible. It really kept the rain off, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a walking PFAS. I mean, I had beads of water all over me, and I was like terrified. Like, what do I do with this thing? Put it in a hazardous waste site or what? But there are a lot of companies that are beginning to phase out because they're getting consumer pressure. Consumer pressure is real, and it does have a benefit to that. I know I've worked on arsenic-treated wood. I've worked on mercury in batteries. These are all things that happen because of consumer pressure and have been successful. What are we up against? You know, like people here in this room, you're all looking for solutions. But we have to be honest that there are people out there from various trade associations. Some of you might be right here in this room who actually want to keep perpetuating this product and these ingredients because it works well for you, but it doesn't work well for us. So we have to be aware that there are people out there still promoting these or having other people speak on their behalf. So just wanted to make sure that people are aware of this. And the next danger, I'm sure a lot of you have been hearing about data centers. Data centers are full of PFAS. Why? Because of piping for cables, semiconductors. Why? Because they want to use a refrigerant through copper pipes that is an F gas, which turns into a PFAS, which leaks from the pipes, which can contaminate the water, the air, workers. We haven't really talked about workers, but workers are the first line of exposure. So data centers are the next problem. We are working on a moratorium on data centers here in New Jersey. We want to get this under control for not just PFAS, but for other reasons, energy reasons as well. We should be really alarmed about this because we're going to have to face this, and there's going to be a lot of PFAS. And just a slide here, I also have it on my table. If you want to speak to us more, if you want to know more about the retail side of things being banned, Mind the Store or Toxics Free Future, Safer States has a list of all the states all around the country that have PFAS policies as well as other toxic policies. 38 states right now have introduced or are advancing those policies. You can go to, obviously, to our website. We have a lot of information. I have some fact sheets over on my table. Some of them are more consumer-oriented. Some of them have policy. There's excerpts from a blog about artificial turf. I know there's a lot of concern about artificial turf. A lot of people are putting down artificial turf. You, your family, your water supplies are under danger because of artificial turf, and we should be very well aware. And there is some legislation that is being proposed. So I just wanted to let you know about resources that are available to you. Please come to our table, pick some things up, and I will stop there.